In this video, we are going to go over Ryan Leaf absolutely destroying an internet troll on X. And he did it with class. I'm going to show you the interaction here shortly. But first, before we do that, we got to go over the history of Ryan Leaf. And this happens almost every single year, I feel like. When the draft comes around, you always talk about busts. You always talk about players that were great in college but never panned out in the NFL. And Ryan Leaf's name is always brought up. So for those of you who might be a little bit younger and don't know who Ryan Leaf is, he was drafted in the 1998 draft. And he was drafted right behind Peyton Manning. Also of note, Randy Moss was drafted in this draft. I just have to say that as a Vikings fan. So a huge draft. A lot of pressure put on Ryan Leaf. He was supposed to be very, very good. He was supposed to be just as good, if not better, than Peyton Manning. And it just did not work out like that. The Seattle Times, they put together this timeline of his career where he was on top of the world in college, got drafted, and where he sunk to, how he ended up in prison, and where he is at now, which is most important. And we'll get to that in a second. November 1997, Ryan Leaf is carried off the field at Husky Stadium after the Cougars beat the Huskies 41-35 to clinch the school's first Rose Bowl appearance since 1935. So he was so good in college that his teammates carried him off the field. That is so rare for that to happen. April 1998, the Chargers trade away their 2 first-round picks, including the number 3 overall selection, a second-round pick, receiver Eric Metcalf, and linebacker Patrick Sapp to move up to the number 2 spot to select Leaf, who received an $11.25 million signing bonus. And this was in 1998. So you adjust that for inflation and you adjust that for what rookie quarterbacks get now after they put in the rules. That is a lot of money. They traded a lot to get him. So again, the pressure was on this young kid coming out of college to perform. He was hailed as the next big thing. He was on magazine covers. He was in commercials. He was everywhere. November 1998, Leaf is benched as San Diego starter after 9 games and finishes his rookie season with 2 touchdown passes and 15 interceptions. So a very rough rookie year. 1999, Leaf misses the entire season with a shoulder injury uncovered by a preseason physical and is suspended for 4 weeks after refusing to do a weight workout as part of rehabilitation. So he started having tensions with the Chargers, obviously. 2000, Leaf starts the first 2 games of the season, has 5 interceptions, 1 touchdown pass, and does not play after injuring his wrist in week 4. San Diego releases him after the season. He won 4 starts in his 3 seasons as quarterback. 2001, Leaf is signed by Tampa Bay, then released the week before the regular season and signed by Dallas, where he played 4 games, including a start on Thanksgiving. July 2002, Leaf fails to report to the Seahawks training camp, informing the team of his decision to retire. He finishes his career with 36 interceptions and 14 touchdown passes. So, obviously, goes without saying, that's not a good stat line. 2005, Leaf, who left Washington State after his junior season, receives his degree from the school. 2006, Leaf begins his job as an assistant coach at West Texas A&M. November 2008, Leaf resigns from West Texas A&M and begins a 42-day stint in inpatient treatment in Vancouver, British Columbia. May 2009, Leaf is indicted in Texas on 9 charges. May 2011, a benign tumor the size of a golf ball is detected in Leaf's brainstem and removed by California surgeons 6 days later. April 2010, Leaf receives a 10-year suspended sentence in Texas after pleading guilty to 8 counts of fraudulently obtaining drugs and delivery of a controlled substance. A burglary charge against him is dropped. March 2012, Leaf is arrested in Great Falls, Montana, the culmination of a month-long investigation by the Central Montana Drug Task Force. Leaf posts $76,000 bail, and a few days later, Leaf is arrested after midnight and returned to county jail. At the time, he faced 3 counts of felony drug possession, 2 counts of felony burglary, and 2 counts of misdemeanor theft. And this all led to him going to prison for 2 years. He spent 2 years in the Montana prison system on that burglary, theft, and drug charge before he was released in 2014. Since then, Leaf has committed to sobriety, became a motivational speaker, and is an advocate for mental health and addiction awareness. As a second act in college football, Leaf has become a successful and sought-after broadcaster and host. Leaf and his wife, Anna, recently welcomed their 2nd child in November, a daughter named Claiborne, adding to their family, which includes 6-year-old son, MacGyver. So he's been sober for around 10 years now. He has rejuvenated his career as an announcer and as a broadcaster, as a motivational speaker. And what he represents is someone who has faced an absurd amount of adversity. And not just that, adversity on a national stage, on a world stage. There are very few people in this world who know what the pressure is like of being an NFL quarterback taken behind Peyton Manning, taken at all. An NFL player, period, but an NFL player that had such high expectations. And then to not have those expectations play out and become someone who is talked about every single year as a giant bust, one of the biggest busts of all time. There's not many people that know what that feels like. And for him to stay sober, to him to fight through that adversity, to start a beautiful family, have kids, and talk about these things is an amazing, amazing thing to see. I think it's very admirable. You know, we always, and I'm guilty of it too. We get really passionate about our sports teams, and sometimes we forget that there are people behind these characters that we know as the athletes, the players on our teams. They're real people. So back to what happened on X the other day. This was tweeted out, and Ryan Leaf responded to it. Someone tweeted, from what I remember, Ryan Leaf absolutely loved to take receipts when he was in the league. Ryan Leaf responded and said, nope, I wish I would have. I could have talked a lot of crap. Why are you searching your name, says this troll here. Ryan Leaf responded to him and said, baby's taking her 11 a.m. nap. I finished my work, and it's draft time. So I know a bunch of dumb people are talking crap, and I'm the righteous hand of the busts to lay a reckoning down upon thee until my baby girl wakes up, which she just may have. Have a great one, Soapster. So he's talking about defending himself and other, NFL players like him. And this idiot responded to him and said, does your daughter know you're a bust? And Ryan Leaf could have said, F you, F that, F this. He could have been a pretty big prick about it, but he wasn't. This is what he had to say in response. She's 14 weeks. She'll find out. There are a-holes like you everywhere, eager to shout it from the basements. I think the being a drug addict and 7-time convicted felon may be the harder conversation, but we trudge on. So this is what he deals with, obviously, every single year. So the fact that he didn't say that to him and he responded like this, responded saying that there are bigger things than these games that we play and these games that we watched. And honestly, if I'm Ryan Leaf's kids, one day I'd be prouder than hell of him. To go through all that, to be an addict and come out of it on the other side, because that doesn't happen very often. Some of you guys watching this, you might have people in your family that are addicts. You might be one yourself. You know how hard it is. It's all around us, everywhere. We all know someone. And very rarely do those people come out on the other side and talk about it and live to help others. So I got to give huge props to Ryan Leaf. This is, I don't know, he's an amazing example. I got to say that. I do. And hopefully people like this soap guy feel embarrassed. These people will always exist, unfortunately, and it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. How did Ryan Leaf handle this? Please make sure you are subscribed, and we'll be back with a lot more to come. That's it for this episode. Till next time, I'm Tyler Zed, and this is Armchair Hero.